President Biden is urging the nation to support his call for new restrictions on firearms. That includes universal background checks and a crackdown on what many call ghost guns. But he's going to need to get Congress on board. And former State Senate President Mike Haridopolos is joining us live to talk more about it this morning. Always great to see you, Mike. How are you?
Very well. Good morning, Amy.
So let's start first with talking about some of these changes that he's talking about. Do you believe that this will go through?
Well, in this case, what he's talking about is, of course, executive orders. This is something that President Biden has used extensively since entering the presidency. Even though he has majorities in both the House and Senate, he has moved aggressively on multiple issues. This is the latest one dealing with guns, dealing with issues like red flag laws. This is where you would actually go out prospectively and aggressively go after people who have some background issues, especially domestic violence, etc., and remove the gun from that individual. A lot of people are concerned about this, but in general, the president is saying we need to have more gun control. And this is going to be one way he does, because he does not think he can get gun control measures through the Congress despite Democrat majorities.
Mike, some people might characterize these as sort of fringe issues when it comes to gun control. We're talking about guns where they don't have a serial number. Maybe they're homemade guns, or maybe the numbers were taken off. And we're also talking about, I guess, a brace, which was similar to one that was used in Boulder, Colorado in that mass shooting. But these aren't sort of the central issues at the gun control debate. Is that right?
That's exactly right. You perfectly analyzed that one. That's a case where these are fringe issues. Reporters actually asked the president how many ghost gun violence or incidents actually took place. Very few, if any. That said, what you've seen is that in a lot of cities, whether it be Chicago, New York, LA, other cities have major gun control, even Washington, D.C., but these are the states that are cities that have the worst violent situations, especially as we're hearing every weekend in Chicago. What a lot of people are looking for instead is there's a lot of laws on the books. Let's aggressively prosecute that. If you're found with a gun and you should not have one, you should go to jail, because right now a lot of guns are being confiscated, but those people who are illegally possessing weapons are not going to jail. This seems to be the push that Republicans are making in contrast. But in general, the president is looking at these executive orders as a way to try to still some of these problems.
Let's talk about what's going on at the border, because we know it's not a good situation. We've got thousands of children who are there. They are in these migrant camps. Where do we go from here? They've put, Vice President Harris in charge of this issue. Do we anticipate that she is going to be headed to the border soon to tackle this?
This is one that's really confused me. I mean, we have a terrible crisis going on right now. As you mentioned perfectly, Amy, 19,000 undocumented minors came through last month alone, unfortunately a record. And what you've seen is that, of course, the vice president has been put in charge. But you would think the first thing they would do when you're put in charge is to actually go to the location. She has yet to arrive at the border. I hope that this problem can be quelled. But at this point, it's really a human tragedy, because some of these unaccompanied minors are being put into these pens, and the press is not even getting access to see what's going on, despite calls from the press to allow access to simply be seeing what's going on right now.
All right, I want to talk about this court packing issue, because this is something that a lot of people have, weighed in on over the last couple of days. We know that the Biden administration wants to put together a commission to look at this, but then we heard from a liberal Supreme Court justice, Justice Breyer, who said this is a very bad idea. If a justice who is on the liberal end of things doesn't like this idea, what do we make of this situation?
Well, this is dangerous territory for both sides. When you talk about expanding the court or putting term limits on the court, it's very much counter to what our founders talked about. But what the president, again, has done, he's created, in this case, a commission, 36 members, predominantly liberal, progressive persons on this commission, and he's talking about packing the court, much like FDR tried to do back in 1937 and failed miserably. The court has been at 9 members since 1869. Americans seem to be pleased with that number. But this is, as Justice Breyer put it, this is dangerous territory. Just like they changed the filibuster rules a few years ago, the Democrats did, and kind of backfired them. A lot of people are saying the last thing we want to do in these tumultuous times is to change the number on the court.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what this commission decides. Always good to talk to you. Former State Senate President Mike Haridopolos. Thanks for being with us, Mike.
Always a pleasure. I mean, have a great day.
You too. All right, coming up here on Good Day, our